At Watkins Glen, everyone expected a competitive race. After all, the track is known for rewarding strategy, skill, and patience. But what Shane Van Gisbergen delivered that Sunday was something completely different. It wasn't just a victory. It was a display of control, speed, and intelligence that left teams, drivers, and fans trying to understand exactly what had happened. From the opening laps, SVG showed that he had something special. While the rest of the field searched for rhythm and managed their tires, he simply disappeared into the distance. Before long, his lead had grown to 6 seconds. In a series as competitive as the NASCAR Cup Series, creating that kind of gap is almost unheard of. Normally, a few tenths of a second is considered significant, but 6 full seconds? It looked like a sign that nobody would be able to challenge him. Then came the first surprise. With only a few laps remaining in Stage 1, the number 97 car came down pit road. To anyone watching without knowing the strategic details, it looked like a mistake. SVG gave up valuable stage points and dropped back into traffic. Meanwhile, teammate Ross Chastain took advantage of the situation and won the stage, but the team knew exactly what it was doing. The pit stop wasn't about Stage 1, it was about winning the race. And that's when the story became even more interesting. When Stage 2 began, Shane Van Gisbergen restarted in 7th place. In theory, it should have taken several laps to work his way back to the front. Passing in NASCAR is never easy, especially against elite competition. But what happened next shocked everyone. In just 2 laps, he was back in the lead. 2 laps. That's all it took. How does a driver go from 7th to 1st that quickly against some of the best drivers in the world? The obvious answer was speed, but the difference was so dramatic that it raised another question. Was SVG simply faster, or was he seeing something on the track that nobody else could see? While everyone else struggled to balance aggression and tire management, he seemed to be operating on an entirely different level. Every corner was precise, every braking zone was perfect, every exit carried more speed than anyone else on the circuit. By the time he won Stage 2, it felt like the race was already over, but Watkins Glen had one more twist waiting. Around the midpoint of the race, something completely unexpected happened. A tent from the infield was blown onto the racing surface, triggering a caution flag and completely changing the race. Once again, strategy became the center of the story. SVG was leading when he chose to pit under caution. Several competitors, including Michael McDowell, stayed out and gained track position. When the green flag returned, Shane Van Gisbergen was no longer in control of the race. He had fallen to 7th place, and things were about to get even worse. With differing strategies unfolding across the field, SVG suddenly found himself in what looked like an impossible situation. With around 18 laps remaining, he was nearly 29 seconds behind the leaders. 29 seconds! In most races, recovering that kind of deficit is practically impossible. It doesn't matter how talented the driver is or how good the car may be, there simply isn't enough time, or at least that's what everyone thought. Up front, Ty Gibbs and Connor Zeilish were trying to save fuel and protect their positions. Logic suggested that one of them would eventually win the race, but then something incredible started to happen. Lap after lap, the gap began to shrink. First a few tenths, then a second, then 2, and soon the timing screens revealed something unbelievable. The number 97 car was running nearly 2 seconds per lap faster than the leaders. 2 seconds per lap. In top-level motorsports, that kind of advantage is enormous. It's a type of performance gap that simply shouldn't exist between cars competing in the same series. And yet, there it was. With every lap, SVG took more time away from the competition. It was as if he were racing in a completely different category. The leaders watched their mirrors as the threat grew larger and larger. Then came another defining moment. With only 8 laps remaining, Connor Zeilish suffered a flat tire. Suddenly, the battle for victory changed completely. An opportunity had opened up, but opportunities alone don't win races. You still have to take advantage of them, and nobody was better positioned to do that than Shane Van Gisbergen. Shortly afterwards, he caught Ty Gibbs. The pass felt almost inevitable. It wasn't a balanced fight. It felt more like the moment an unstoppable force finally reached its destination. Michael McDowell, who had benefited from strategy throughout the race, also noticed the extraordinary speed of the number 97 car. Later, he admitted there were moments when he thought he might be able to stay with SVG, but it felt as though Shane was simply pacing himself and accelerating only when necessary. That might be the most impressive part of the entire race. It never looked like he was desperately trying to recover lost ground. Instead, it looked like he knew exactly what needed to be done, as if he were executing a calculated plan from the very beginning. With 22 laps remaining, he had been running in 24th place. A short time later, he had passed almost the entire field. By lap 92, he was leading, and at that moment, the race was over. Not because the checkered flag had waved, but because nobody had an answer to the pace he was producing. From there, the gap only grew larger. corner after corner, lap after lap, until Shane Van Gisbergen crossed the finish line with a 7-second advantage over Michael McDowell. 7 seconds after being 29 seconds behind, after falling back to 7th place, after running as low as 24th. It's the kind of performance that sounds impossible when you describe it. But it happened. And perhaps the most impressive part is that it wasn't an isolated result. With this victory, Shane SVG reached a statistic that helps explain why so many fans and analysts are beginning to see him as a dominant force on road courses and street circuits. Since Mexico City, he has won 6 of the last 7 NASCAR Cup Series road and street course races. 6 wins in 7 attempts, a streak that turned any doubt into certainty. The victory also delivered Trackhouse Racing's first win of the 2026 season, but more importantly, it reinforced a message that is becoming impossible to ignore throughout the NASCAR garage. When the race takes place on a road course, Shane Van Gisbergen isn't just competing, he's redefining the standard. And after what happened at Watkins Glen, the question is no longer whether he can win. The question is, who can stop him? If you were impressed by this historic comeback, leave a comment below and tell us where this performance ranks among the greatest NASCAR drives of recent years. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NASCAR analysis, stories, and behind-the-scenes coverage from the world of motorsports.